Strider Paul.
Richard.
You've dragged me out into deepest Kent today.
Deepest Romney Marsh.
Romney Marsh, on the marsh. Why are we here today, Paul?
Well, we're at the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway. Yeah, it's a downscaled 15-inch gauge railway, steam railway. They've got a couple of diesel engines, but mainly steam. All run to railway specifications.
And you, as a railway man, are going to take me round?
Yes, a proper busman's holiday.
Let's go in.
Let's go in.
The Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway is a 15-inch gauge heritage railway in Kent, England. The 14-mile line runs from the Cinque Port of Hythe via Dymchurch, St Mary's Bay, New Romney and Romney Sands to Dungeness, close to Dungeness Power Station and Dungeness Lighthouse. The world's smallest public railway, it was built in 1927 for millionaire racing driver Captain J.E.P. Howe. During the Second World War, the line was overtaken by the military, and after the war, the line was reopened by Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. As well as being a tourist attraction, the railway is a useful service between the small towns it serves, and it's under contract to the local council to transport school children to and fro from school, for which a special train is used. Right, Richard Batten, we are now standing with you in the Romney Hythe and Dymchurch engine shed area.
Engine shed, yep.
And what's your role, sir?
Well, up until last year, I still am loco foreman.
A loco foreman? What does that do?
Well, I used to be in charge of the rostering of the drivers and the rostering of the locos to the drivers.
How long have you been here?
34 years.
So you know quite a bit about the railway?
A bit, yeah. The drawings were started in 1924. The opening day was in July 1927. And it continued from there, shall we say.
Did it go the whole 13 miles from the word go?
No, it ran Hythe because the name is Romney Hythe and Dymchurch. So you've got Romney one end, Hythe the other end, Dymchurch in the middle. But it didn't look right in the naming. So they put it the other way about. And then 2 years later, 1929 I think it was, they went through to Dungeness. Well, they went through to the Pilot at first.
The Pilot?
The Pilot pub.
Right.
On Battery Road.
Always good to go to a pub, isn't it?
Oh, crikey, yes. Well, we have done pub tours, and you can stop at quite a few pubs along the way.
Can you? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we stop at them all on the way back just to make sure we haven't missed any.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A bit of refuelling.
Yes. I got home one morning, 3:30. The wife couldn't believe that I'd been out on a special train. And I'm only the driver, I came back sober. You know.
I suppose it's hard to swerve the train, isn't it, if you're
it is, yes, yeah.
under the influence?
Just under the affluence of alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, these are half scale.
No, one-third.
One-third.
One-third full size. Which is rather difficult to believe, but if you sort of stack them 3 wide and 3 high, they come out just a little bit bigger than the Flying Scotsman.
Really?
Yeah.
They might all tumble down though, wouldn't they?
Well, they would all fall over, yes.
There would be a slight drawback there.
Yeah, you'd have to use a bit of gaffer tape holding them together or something.
But even so, even though it's 1/3, you can still carry considerable number of passengers.
Oh, crikey. Yeah, I mean...
Strong old stuff, steam engines, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, our new coaches, the first one's not quite in traffic yet, number 82. That was the 1970s version of a 20-seater.
Now, these carriages that you're pointing to, they're sort of diddy. I have to say diddy, but people can get in them and ride on them.
Yeah, well, that's a 20-seater, you see. But 30 years ago, people weighed a lot less, like 2 stone less.
Of course they did, yeah. We're all putting on weight.
And they were all shorter. A driver now, when Greenie designed everything, I think he designed it for a 5'8" driver with size 8 boots.
Right.
Weighing about 10 stone. And now he's...
How tall are you?
Well, I was about 6'4", but I got a bad spine. For my weight, I should be 6'4", but I'm not. No, I'm about, I don't know, 5'9" at the moment, something like that.
So it's interesting that in that short space of time, from 1920, we have
we've grown considerably.
Grown and widened.
Yeah, but the new coaches, the first new coach, the doors are about 4 inches wider.
Are they, to accommodate us?
To accommodate, yeah.
Good heaven, isn't that amazing?
Aye, and I think they've tried to raise the roof line just a tad, but you can't do too much because of the bridges.
Is that because you keep stopping at these pubs?
Probably.
You don't stop at kebab shops as well, do you?
I'm trying to think.
Fish and chip shop. The Romney Hythe and Dymchurch Railway was the culmination of the dreams of two men. Captain J.E.P. Howe, a sometimes racing driver, millionaire landowner, former army officer and miniature railway aficionado, and Count Louis Zaborski, eminently well-known racing driver of his day, famous for owning and racing the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Mercedes, and considerably richer even than Howe. The Count was keen to build a fully working express railway using the 15-inch gauge, and Howe, well known in miniature circles for owning large locomotives to the gauge, was inspired by the vision also. To try and fulfil their ambition, the pair attempted to purchase the Ravenglass and Eskdale Railway in the Lake District, but had no joy. Despite this setback, the Count ordered 2 Pacific locomotives, the Green Goddess and the Northern Chief. These were to be designed by the leading model engineer of his day, Henry Greenlee, and built in Colchester by Davy Paxman & Co., and which would run on the miniature express line that the pair were determined to build. Before they had delivered, however, the Count was killed whilst racing at Monza in the Italian Grand Prix. Howe was left with 2 locos and the task of finding somewhere to run them. He commissioned Greenlee to help him, and it was he that came up with Romney Marsh. So from 1920, and it's still running today, and still growing, and it's a real service, isn't it?
Oh yes, yeah, we run.
It's not just a sort of a novelty service. No. It's a real active railway.
Yeah, we don't put it all in back in the box when it starts raining or something like that.
No.
Mind you, there are times when you want to.
Because there's not much. I mean, I was looking at the drivers. It's quite open to the elements if you're on the footplate.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So
if it is raining, you've just got to wear a raincoat.
Well, last year, it was one of the last days I drove. It came down. It was torrential. And in the summer, I don't have a jumper on, I just have a t-shirt and trousers. I got absolutely soaked right through to the skin. And other drivers, they got all their wet weather gear on. But I was the first one to dry out.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You see, because I hadn't got anything really to get wet.
No, that's right.
You see, and I left Dungeness absolutely soaking wet and arrived at Hythe dry. And somebody came up to me and said, "You must be bloody soaking." They went like that. "You're bone dry." So, of course I am. I've got a lovely hot fire in front of me. You know.
So presumably, in order to learn to drive and operate these machines, there's quite strict regulations and...
Well, we train our own drivers. I used to do a lot of the training, but I'm now the assessor. So I have to go out and just make sure they've got it all right. But we're looking about 15 to 20 days minimum to get them out on their own.
Right.
Now, that's not sort of up to main line length of time out on the road, because our road's only 14 miles long.
Yes.
But basically, if the chap's interested to start with, and he knows a bit about steam engines and the mechanics of it and so on, and also he's been around the railway for a while, so he knows where Hythe is and where Dungeness is.
Right.
They're not starting with a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're pretty well on the way before they even get near the engine.
Are there any other third scale railways in the country?
Well, there are other 15-inch gauge railways. They're not necessarily to 1/3 scale. The Bure Valley Railway, most of their engines, I would say, are probably getting on for half scale, because they're built around the narrow gauge type locos in North Wales and things like that. And then you've got the Ravenglass and Eskdale in Cumbria. One of their engines was actually built by Paxman's, which was their first steam engine they built before they built ours.
Oh, right.
So we're all sort of family connected.
Yeah, lovely.
Up to a point.
Because sometimes you have engines down from the Ravensglass and Estelle, don't you?
Yeah, and Bure Valley. We swap around a bit. It makes life interesting for the customers. And then, of course, it tempts them to think, well, perhaps we'll go up the Lake District and see what's going on up there.
See what's up there. The official opening took place on the 16th of July 1927, with Hercules hauling the inaugural train from Hythe to New Romney. When first opened to the public, the line only covered, in double track, the 8 miles between Hythe and New Romney, the railway's main terminus. Owner Captain Jack Howie soon had his eye on extending the line, and in 1928 double tracks carried the trains to Dungeness via Greatstone. A fantastic mainline ride of 13.5 miles. During those early years, the railway became famous and people came to ride on the smallest public railway in the world. The locomotive fleet was extended to 9 mainline express engines, and a fleet of luxurious coaches were built. Well, we're standing by the engine sheds, presumably. How many trains do you have in service?
We've got 4 steam out today, and the diesel is out on a works train. So, and then tomorrow is with Mother's Day tomorrow. So Samson, which is down the yard at the moment, that's the Mother's Day engine, and that will run up and down the siding, carriage sidings. Where
So
mums
all the
do
mums
driving.
out today. How lovely.
They do all the driving.
Oh, they do all the driving?
On that one engine, just up and down the yard.
Up and down.
You know.
Yeah,
Nothing
bit of fun.
too serious, but they get a little ticket to say that they've
driven an engine. Oh, fantastic.
And then on Father's Day we do the same.
So will you be assessing any of them in case they're any good?
Oh yes, I should be keeping my eye on them. So